Let's be honest, it's never easy to open up your favourite social media app, be it Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, it doesn't matter what it is, but to open up that app and to see someone who has just got the amazing book deal, who has released their first novel and got 1,000 pre-orders, or maybe they've just hit 10,000 followers, or they've got another 50,000 words in their book this week, and you're there staring at your half-finished chapter that you're stuck on, that you just feel like you can't move. You're inconsistent on social media, you're not gaining any followers when you do post, and it feels like a battle. And I've been there, and I still get there sometimes. I have to watch myself and check in with myself many times. But then what I've learned about myself is that comparing myself to others doesn't actually achieve anything. It doesn't make me more productive. It doesn't increase my sales. It doesn't increase my word counts. All it does is steal the joy of my writing and the joy of what I love to do and make me feel miserable. So today I want to share with you things that have helped me to stop comparing myself to others and also help me to try and start feeling the joy in my own writing again. So hi, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name's Rachel. I am an indie author with over 50 books written and published, and I feel a bit weird saying that when I'm talking about not comparing your numbers and then I throw in that metric to kind of establish my authority in knowing what I'm talking about, because I'm just trying to show you that I have been in this indie world a while and I understand. But also the fact that I have written and published over 50 words and I still have to fight the comparisonitis monster should tell you something. Is very hard, but it's also very normal for it to be there. But I just want to give you some tips on how to get rid of it or how to battle with it and deal with it, because it's always there, and I think it's a natural thing in us. It's how we improve ourselves. The number one tip, and probably the most obvious but the one we so easily forget, is that just remember you're not seeing the full picture of what is going on. I was listening to something last night. She writes amazing books. She's having an amazing career. She has really good sales. She earns, 5 figures a month. She is just doing amazing. And I was listening to her talking to someone yesterday. She wasn't talking to someone yesterday. I was listening to her yesterday talking to someone about Facebook advertising. And it was eye-opening to hear her say that she spends about £1,000 a day on her Facebook advert, and that her ROI is good. This is the return on the investment of that £1,000 a day, but it's not wonderful. And I was like, well, no wonder. So for example, if she's earning £50,000 a month, but she's spending £30,000 a month, it's still the same ratio. In fact, it's a lower ratio than what I spend versus my ads. And when you take away the big numbers and things like that, we're kind of the same. Like, I just spend less on my ads, so I earn less in my books every month. But it was just a reminder to me, even now, not to compare things, because she's spending a lot more, and she's built that up. And it's the same with, I follow the author Steve Higgs, and I followed his career in the 20 books group, and he showed his growth, and it was fantastic. And I remember him earning his first $100, and now he earns $3 million a year. And while I'm not saying that people are lying, it's how you are comparing yourself to others. So like Steve Higgs writes urban fantasy, and I write urban fantasy, and I did not earn what he earns. He earns an amazing amount. But if you trace back what he's been on podcasts, he's on YouTube, spoken at many conferences, he's posted his progress in the 20 books to 50k Facebook group. Like, you can see he's been very open about his growth, and I reference him a lot because he's been open, and because I remember him kind of arriving in those places and then just sheer determination. And it's so easy to compare to him and like, oh well, he's earning all this money, but what you don't see is, and he described it as pushing a boulder up a hill with his face. You don't see that he lived on 5 hours of sleep a night. He wrote every moment he could. He didn't see his wife and child then. He was working a full-time 70-hour-a-week job. So he was snatching every spare minute to write the book, because his goal was to get his books written, get them published, and earn enough money that he could replace his corporate job that was sucking the soul out of him and become a full-time author, which enabled him to be more present with his wife and children. And it's so easy to look at someone like that and think, you're earning this much, you've got this many followers, you're this popular, you're at all the conferences, you're doing all this. But there were a lot of years, hours, months, whatever, where he was struggling. Like he openly talks about the struggles, but with a lot of people they don't. And you have to remember that to get to the top of the mountain, you really have to do all the stuff. You're not going to cheat. Nobody. It's very rare for someone just to arrive there. With that being said, my other tip to fight comparisonitis is to ask yourself, what are you actually craving? What is it that you actually want? You know, every time I kind of feel that comparisonitis, it's like a moment to check in with myself. What's going on with me? What am I wanting? Why am I feeling this way? And usually I am very good at blocking out the comparisonitis, but if there is something not working in my life, then that comparisonitis can get in. So, you know, for example, a few years ago my dog broke her leg and it was a very big vet's bill to pay, and I didn't have the money to just bash it out like that. It just wasn't there. And so when I was in the online spaces and struggling to pay the vet's bill, it was very easy for me to start looking at other authors who were in my genre, who were writing as much as I did and have as much books out, and think, why am I not making it? And actually what the problem was when I was getting into that kind of negative headspace was nothing to do with my abilities as a writer. It was more to do with my abilities as a dog owner, struggling with this vet bill that I needed to pay to help my dog to get better. And it was my feeling of kind of failure in her that I was struggling to kind of do it. I mean, we did it and I had some help and it was great. But it was, if you can kind of see what I mean, there was, when you're comparing yourself and getting really down on yourself, check in with what the actual problem is, because it might not even be the writing. It could be something in your life. It could just be whatever. Go try and figure out what it is and address that. Tip number 3 is focus on what you can control. So my husband has his own platform for stuff that he does online, and yesterday he had a YouTube short go to 260,000 views. It was amazing. He kept running upstairs to my office and showing me, and he was like, look at this, and then like every time he refreshed he got another 3 followers on his stuff. And I was like, it's crazy what's doing it. And I didn't compare myself. I didn't get into that envy mode. Like, I was truly happy with him, for him. But that was a viral video. He couldn't control that, and I can't control that. And this is what I'm talking about when you need to focus on what you can control. So you can't control the algorithms on the social media platforms. You can't actually control your book sales. You can't control who comments on your TikToks or who shares your TikToks or give you mentions or anything like that. You cannot control the internet. What you can control is yourself, your habits, and how you show up. You can control how many times you post on social media. You can control how much you view social media. You can control lots of aspects, but you cannot control the numbers. So thinking about that, what it is you want, you know, you want to get all the books out and publish all the works. Like at the moment, I've been a couple of years struggling with this, not getting as many books out as I would like. So I do get a little bit, you know, seeing other authors put book after book after book out, and it gets frustrating to me, but it's not in a comparing thing, because their lives are very different to mine. It's just in a frustrated with myself, because even if I compare myself to like 2020 version of me, who had like 12 releases that year, and this year it's been 1, I can get really frustrated. But I had to check in with myself, and what could I control? How could I fix this? So the thing I wanted, you know, going back to the tip 3, was the craving. I wanted to get more books out. What can I control to get there? I can control my writing time. I can control the fact that I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning every morning in the week, and I write in my office until 8. I have total control of that. I can control what time I go to bed the night before, so that I am rested when I show up in my office. You know, I can do all that, and these are the habits and things that I still need to work on. I'm not perfect. I'm still letting myself down with that, but focusing on what you can control is much better than trying to focus on the things like the algorithms and refreshing, because There's nothing you can do about it. Tip 4 is limit your exposure. This was a big one for me. So there are a couple of pretty big Facebook groups for authors, and they're wonderful. They are full of tips and education and support when you need it. But they are also full of people's success stories, and those are amazing. Like, I'm never going to take it away from anyone's success. If you are not in a good headspace, seeing how much people are selling, making, doing is not going to help you. And sometimes the problem is that you are scrolling too much. You are seeing too much of that. I certainly had that with a Facebook group that I had to kind of unfollow because there was a lot of success posts. There was a lot of, they put their first book out and then they're on a 6-figure month. And I was like, why is that happening for them? You know, there was a lot, you see these posts of, I earned 30,000 in my first month and there was no marketing, it was all organic sales. And go back to the original thing of you don't see the full picture, there's a different side to that story. But having to stop consuming those kind of things is what helps me the most. If I don't see it, I'm not looking at anyone else's journey, and I'm not then thinking that my journey is a load of rubbish. Basically, protect your peace, because that fuels your creativity. And my last tip is count what is already yours. One of my children has just bought a house, and they've saved for a good few years for this house, for, you know, for the deposits and that and that and that. And my child had said that he's just going to live in there for 10 years and then they're going to continue to save and then try and get a bigger house, because they've just gone onto the property market, so they're in like a first time buyer's size home. It's fine, it fits them, it's a lovely house. And his wife said to him that she didn't want to do that. She wants to just enjoy the fact that they have their own house. She wants to live a little, she wants to travel and stuff like that. And I totally get that, because for ever since they've left school, you know, they've been at college, so they've been, you know, the struggling students. They got married, they had children, so they've been, you know, the struggling new parents. They've lived in rented property, so they've been struggling with that, getting their careers off the ground, training, all their stuff. He started his own business and he's been growing it. She, you know, wanted to train to go into her career and stuff like that. So they've always been chasing a goal, and their big goal was obviously saving a huge deposit to buy a house. And I understand what she's saying, where she just wants to enjoy it now. Like, they've climbed several mountains and they've been climbing these mountains for lots of years, and now she just wants to kind of stand there and enjoy the sunset. And I think that is brilliant, and it was a good reminder when she was talking about that to myself, to enjoy my stuff. So this is what I'm saying to you: count and enjoy what you've already achieved. You know, it's easy to measure our word count, our follower numbers and our sales to other people, but we also have to remember to enjoy the little things. And I know it can get like a bit woo woo, everyone's into that, or they used to be into that. Write something you're grateful for every day, and I can see how that gets a bit, it doesn't mean anything, but we need to kind of make it mean something. Like, I finished my 52nd book a couple of weeks ago, and I made sure to celebrate it, because I got out of the habit of not celebrating it like it was just another book. Oh look, I've done it again, and I'm like, okay, finished, on to the next one. But actually, it's amazing how many people struggle to write their first book. How much did I struggle to write my first book? My first book took me years. I rewrote it 5 times. I scrapped it, hated it, fell in love with it, enjoyed it, all the emotions that went with it. It was a real struggle, and I think everyone's first book is kind of like that. And when I finally published that book and kind of held it in my hand, it was amazing. But then as the more books have come and this is just what I do, I've got into the this is just what I do mode. And I decided this year that I'm not going to do that. I'm going to celebrate the wins in my career of the things I do. And you can even celebrate them down to the smallest thing. Like, you've written 1,000 words today, celebrate it. You finished that chapter you were stuck on, celebrate it. You showed up every day for yourself this week, celebrate it. It doesn't matter. You need to enjoy this career or hobby, or however you treat writing. It needs to be something that you claim as yours and that you cheer yourself on and celebrate, basically. Comparisonitis will always be there, and it will always whisper in your ear that you are not good enough, you are not measuring up, and you could do better. But the truth is, you're already doing something wonderful. You can't chase someone else's dream, and that's what we're doing when we're comparing to others. We are chasing their dream and not our own, and it often gets us into a mess. You need to chase your dream even if sometimes it feels like you're wading through the mud. You will get there in the end. So this week, focus on your words, focus on your joy, and focus on your journey, and just enjoy being a writer, and remind yourself your love of writing that made you put pen to paper that very first time. If this video has helped you, give me a like, a subscribe, a share, all the stuff that helps me, and then let me know down in the comments any tips you have that have helped you stay in your lane as a writer, or helped you to focus, or helped you to battle away the comparisonitis. But I'll see you next time, and until then, enjoy your writing.